Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. KPC baby.
You can tell your girlfriends
About me.
It's about time to get rowdy.
Here we go. Yeah. Feel the song, baby. Come on, guys. Feel that shit. Yeah.
Can be my brown-eyed beauty.
Oh yeah.
And I bet you see right through me.
Let's get into this.
Can do anything.
Here we go. Another episode coming at you.
Tonight anything is possible. And you know I
And we're back. It's your boy KPC coming at you again. Here we go one more time. This is becoming a habit. I'm actually really enjoying this. I'm gonna have to put Jeremy's name on the podcast. This keeps up. It's turning into the best guest I have. I have other guests, but man, you guys always cop out. Oh, I'll be there. Oh, can't come in. Oh, I'm gonna be there. Oh, I can't come in. So you know what? I have one consistent person who comes and brings. Honestly, it takes two to make a podcast. So, Jeremy, thank you for coming again. How you doing?
Welcome.
How you
I'm
been?
doing pretty good. I'm toughing it out, as my mom would say. I don't really have anything to complain about. I'm happy to be here, back like we never left.
Why toughing it out? Has it been a tough week or just in general? You're
No,
saying?
just in general. I had, as you know, vertigo 6 weeks ago, which was
Yeah.
pretty horrendous, and I've still got a little bit of the remnants. And for anybody who knows, if you've had vertigo, if you've had it bad to where it's impacting your activities, you're getting really intense spins, the fear that the spins are going to come back is real. And it can sort of play on your mind because through the normal course of life, we can be a little dizzy, stand up too fast, you get a little lightheaded. But if you've recently had that tilt-a-whirl sensation of vertigo, anytime there is a lightheaded sensation, you think it's coming back, and that can increase your stress, your cortisol, et cetera, et cetera. So
Nope.
that's really the only somewhat negative thing that I'm dealing with right now. I shouldn't complain, but as I say, I wouldn't wish full-blown vertigo on my worst enemy. It's really bad. So
That sucks,
hopefully
man.
I can continue to just slowly, try to get a good night's sleep. Not having any trouble sleeping, I'm having trouble staying asleep, presumably because my brain is, while I'm unconscious, is working in overdrive, panicking, who knows. But that's it. Other than that, I'm good.
I mean, it doesn't sound that bad. You had a better week than me. Let's see. My week. Monday, I stopped breathing. That was a lot of fun.
Jeez.
Long story short, I'm on Corvedalol, which is a very normal blood pressure medication. They decided you should up it. I'm like, okay, I'll up it, no problem. And I thought maybe because I had a cold or I don't know, it's working out too much, running out of breath here and there. So on Monday, I experienced something called lung paralysis, and it is exactly as it sounds. And it was, I mean, I sat in the car and I'm like, it was really frightening and scary. Um, it lasted almost a whole 24 hours because
Wow.
until the medication comes out of your system and it comes down a little bit, it's not going anywhere. So that was my Monday. Tuesday, I went to dialysis. Um, man, I don't want to put anybody down. They're nice people. They mean well. It's not their fault. My physiology is very abnormal compared to most people. People get dialysis for 3 hours. I get it for 5 hours. I have double the amount of blood of a normal person. I have my veins and arteries are bigger than anybody else's. Like I'm just not fully human. I hate saying this, but that's the way it sounds. I'm an anomaly. So when they go to take care of me, if you treat me like a regular patient, you're going to kill me. And I'm supposed to be holding shitloads of water. Like I think I am now. Like right now, feeling how my feet feel and stuff. Yeah, I think I'm holding maybe 1 kilo of water, which is normal for somebody who has kidney disease like me. But they tend to take out water when I'm not holding any, and that's a major issue because last time they removed fluid, that kind of was supposed to be my brain,
Hmm.
and I was in a lot of pain, dizzy, throwing up. It was just nightmarish. So Monday, Tuesday were a wash, and then just busy with everything else I'm trying to get done right now, and so much going on, and yeah, I got a recruiter up my butt. She's unbelievable. Just calls me every day. I'm like, listen, lady, I'll get it done. Don't worry. But yesterday I had some fun actually. Met up with a girl that I've known her for a while. Been up here and there. More of just friends and benefits kind of thing. Uh, I was tired. I was just mentally tired. I needed a break. I was like, yeah, why not? I go spend like 2 hours with her. And you know what, Jeremy, for once, oh yeah, of course, I'm not spending 2 hours with her. I'm banging the chatter for 2 hours, but for once, Jeremy, it was actually nice. Like I was playing last time that usually sex just turns into like this carnal, nasty, fucking hardcore porn scene.
or just going through the motions.
Yeah,
And
and
so the two things
right.
can exist at the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
time, but
absolutely. That's really that most of the problem actually.
yeah,
And yesterday, I don't know why. Maybe she kind of missed me. Actually, really did miss me, and it was very sensual. The way it didn't start like, all right, take your clothes off. It started like almost like a real relationship, Jeremy. It was kind of weird. I was like, whoa, you want to make out, really? Okay, cool. And like, from that, it's like, just like if she was really my girlfriend, or like, almost like 20 years ago, the white things I used to go through.
right.
It was very nice. I always tell you, MBFC, man, I miss that shit. I really, really do. It's a very emotional, loving part of what you're about to do. You can get down and dirty later, but at least start out like you care about each other a little bit, and I was amazed at how much I missed that shit. Like, just making out with me, licking my ear and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is really, I forgot what this is like. Like, this is actually really nice. And then
Good.
of course, she also was also very skilled at everything else. Really great head, amazing at it. Just I was pleased in general. And then I guess she also knows what I want to, which is also very nice. Usually, I hate having to ask sometimes, and you're in that place. I don't even if you, do you even ask anybody, or you just like take whatever, it's all good. Like, are you like, hey, can you do
It's
this?
very rare that I'm going to ask anything. Yeah.
No,
It has to be. Yeah, I have to know in advance.
you're not gonna be able to, hey, can you lick my balls? You're not gonna say that, right? I'm guessing you're not. No, okay. I usually I have to. I will say what I want usually, and I'm telling her. I always tell women too. Tell me whatever you want, whatever you want licked, whatever you want done. Just tell me. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And she understood actually. So she was like, "Oh, you want me to sit on your face?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, I didn't have to ask. I'm like, "You get me?" I'm like, and then this whole warm feeling in my heart. I'm like, "Oh, she understands me. This is nice." It was such a nice feeling. I was like, "This is kind of cool. I like this."
It's great.
Only thing that destroys the whole thing once again is wearing a condom. But I understand. But listen, in the world we live in, I totally get it. No matter how clean I say I am, and she says she is too. There's always that fear, and I understand that. It's
Right.
okay. But besides the, this is the funny part, dude. It's probably the opposite for you. Besides the actual sex, everything else is great. The actual intercourse is always, for me, is always like the, I can't wait till she comes in and gets it over. I know how women feel. I'm literally like, okay, yeah, oh yeah, you're enjoying this. Okay, this is good. Hope you're done soon. Uh huh. Oh no, it's great. Yeah, look at the smile on my face. Yeah. Oh, you're doing great, honey. You're doing great. Uh huh. Can please finish? Please finish. And as soon as she's done, you're like, oh, thank God. All right, can you like get off and do something that's actually gonna please me now? Like, this is, it's just, for me, sex is so like, I'm literally just waiting for her to come, so it's just over. Or if she's not doing it, I'll just make her come myself. It's so. I told you, Jeremy. It's sad, man. Can you imagine getting to my stage one day where you're like, "Wow, this sucks. Can you get off me? Can I not be inside of you, please?" How about that? That's that's the sadness of my life at this point.
Right.
But not everything else was, really nice. We hung out for a little bit afterwards. You know, uh, drank some water, chit chat a little bit, and And I came home and I had shit to do. I was like, I gotta go home. She's like, yeah, I got shit to do. She's like, okay, good luck. Have fun. Thank you so much, blah, blah. And that was it. But very unlike my other things I've been through in the past, much more loving, nice, kind, sweet. Um, I mean, for you, I guess, even if you're dating someone, it's always like that, right? It's always kind and nice, right?
Well, unless the other person, unless the other person doesn't want it kind and nice. But if you're asking the default setting,
Yeah.
yes.
So
But
what did you do? Okay, the first time that happened, freaked the fuck out. Have you ever had that yet? Where the woman's like, choke me, punch me, hit me. You're like, excuse me.
not punch me or hit me.
Yeah, but
No.
choke you. Okay, it always starts with choking. You women are fucking weird. It goes from that to punch me, and see, I cross the line of choking. Anyway, so
Yeah, I take direction well. Um, so I'm open to whatever the other person is open to, unless it's what really turned me on to commit mass murder. Then we're not going to
like,
go there. Yeah,
well,
but to what you were saying, what you experienced here was something you hadn't experienced in a while, from what you
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Which is what might be called the girlfriend experience.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Meaning that she made you feel like the two of you weren't just opposing body
No, like
parts.
like we were a couple that knew each other.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
And that is, it's good to, even if for just a short time, or if there's no future with this person, to feel that is, it's good.
Yeah, it
It's
was great.
good.
It was great.
Let me throw one thing at you. So um,
Stay close.
my experiences on the dating apps during my kind of illustrious singles phase, if you will, when I was just kind of starting to figure myself out, a number of years ago, 2018 into 2019 to be more precise. The dating apps are not really supposed to be used for escorts. You're not really supposed to do that.
That's all you see on there, though. I mean, do
Well,
you?
but this is a thing though, and I was surprised because, well, most of them, if they get enough complaints, the person gets thrown off, because
Right.
that's not what it's there for. But
Yeah.
again, when you're first starting out, you don't know this. This is all new. I'd never been on a dating app, 2018 at the end of the year, whatever. So after a number of times of being surprised, where match with an attractive young lady and start talking,
Hmm.
and then they say something like, I'm not interested in meeting you for dinner. My fee is $300 an hour. 500 if you want the girlfriend experience.
I gotta pay more for kindness. That's fucked up.
So the first couple of times I got aggravated and I was bewildered. Now, I never turned anybody in for being a phony. Some people would get so, that didn't bother me. What I did do is, by like the fourth or fifth time that somebody, after normal conversation, sprung this is purely transactional, unless you pay me an extra 200, then I'll make you feel like I really like you. So what I started to do was, when a person, and I could gear myself up, I knew when I was about to be quoted a price, $1,000 for the overnight, 200 for 15 or 30 minutes, whatever it was. The person would say, if you want 2 hours, it's $500. I would text back, well, you're in luck, because I'm $600. You can Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal me
I
$100.
love it. I love it. I love
And then when they would say something like LOL, that would be it. Block, delete. You're gonna mess with me. You're gonna insult me. You're gonna get
it. Can I
insulted
just
right
say
back.
something about this? What the fuck do you least think you're worth? No offense to anybody who was like
Well, no,
a
no, no. But they can get that, but not from me.
no, no.
I'm not making judgments here.
I'm
It's
sorry.
perfectly fine.
Any guy listening to this right now, if you're listening to me and Jeremy and you're watching this, why the fuck would you pay that? I
Well, but sometimes
understand.
people are desperate, and they're not. It's not only about the sex. Sometimes you're lonely. You want companionship.
But
It's not always about.
it really depends. Listen, man. No offense, and I'm gonna make it sound like a commodity now. If some woman's asking $1,000 a night from you, shop around. Do not do not rent the first car you see. Okay, that's absolutely from a man who knew nothing about prostitution, who now is an expert at it apparently, because I learned so much from women in the last few years. I used to think prostitution was the worst thing in the world. I mean, it's amazing, Jeremy, like you were saying, how different you think when you get older.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand why we would do this. You know, you meet a girl, you just fuck a girl. Well, why would you want to pay for it? Blah blah blah. And then I got divorced, and then I got busy, and then I found the value of prostitution. I'm like, oh, you're not paying for this sex. You're paying for the not having a relationship. You're paying for the take care of me and bye bye, bye Felicia. You don't want to deal with anything else after that. I know most men are doing it because they just can't find anybody and they want something.
Right.
But I understand now why you see the elitely rich people who have all this money and they constantly have,
Well, Charlie Sheen, not the more recent, winning where Sheen seemed to lose his marbles. The Charlie Sheen of the Heidi Fleiss era.
right.
He was very young, mid 90s, and he had the money. He didn't want attachment at that
Right.
time. At
Yeah.
that time, because
Yeah.
he had been through some bad stuff.
Yep.
After the movie Platoon, he had some personal problems. He was okay paying for 1990s $5,000 a night
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Heidi Fleiss's finest.
Yep.
But he was okay with that until he got humiliated because his name was on her client list, and then he had to testify, and that's a whole that would have been, if that happened now.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You know
But
what?
in 1995, it was 96. It was a humongous story, and he
Yeah.
got humiliated.
Yeah. You know what?
But he wanted companionship. Even a big star like that, he didn't want a relationship, but he wanted somebody who was going to make him feel like a movie star, and then say goodbye the next morning, and then get another woman in the next night.
Well, on that, let me tell you why. Another reason that probably led to that happening. So, and I'm so jealous of this. Like, Charlie Sheen, I hate you just for this. For this forever. Damn you. He was in love and dating for almost 3 years. Ginger Lynn Allen. Oh, yeah, Ginger Lynn, not Amberlynn. Ginger Lynn. When I found that out, I was like, he's dating my girl. No, this is the first woman I ever saw naked. The first thing I ever saw in my entire life. She's absolutely gorgeous. Those sex scenes are not fake. She is a complete nymphomaniac. She's a very sweet person too, but she just absolutely loves sex. I can't live without it for 1 second. And he was dating her, and he was actually, apparently they were very happy together. Her, the dad, everybody, they all hung out together. They were very good, but his drug problem definitely got in the way.
Well, Pauly Shore was with, I think her name was Shannon Wilsey. She was also an adult film star. She died a tragic death, and it hurt his career because they were in love.
Yeah.
I think she was in a car accident. But so, yeah, and again, no stigma, no nothing. I mean, I remember in the 90s, or maybe early 2000s, George Clooney for a couple of years was with, I don't remember her name, the woman from the WWE. She was one of the...
China?
No. It was blonde. Oh, damn. I can't remember her name.
Stacy Keibler.
Stacy Keibler.
She's so beautiful.
But they made a great pairing. And I remember reading, like, Brad Pitt was telling George, she's perfect.
She's so elegant.
And when he meant perfect, he meant because just her association with wrestling, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's so intelligent. She's just, you look right with her, but they ended up breaking up. But so, like, there's no stigma depending on what a person does for a living. At least for me, I don't care.
No.
That it doesn't matter.
But you understand, I was in love with Ginger Lynn, right, as a kid.
Well,
like that's the girl. As a child, I was like, I gotta find her and marry her. I don't care how old she is at that point. I'm just gonna marry her. That's it. And it was between her and Christy Canyon. I was like, either one I'll get married to. And the funny part is, both women. I don't want you guys to understand if you're. I don't know how much people. Oh God, I'm gonna sound so disgusting right now. I'm just thinking about what I'm about to say. I'm like, the whole audience gonna be like, this guy's a fucking disgusting motherfucker. Oh, I'm gonna say it anyway, Jeremy. Shoot,
I know you're gonna say it anyway.
For those of you who follow porn, I don't know how many of you actually do like I do. A lot of these women, they just it's just a job. They hate what they do. A lot of them, and then there's those who love what they do. It's very far and few between, but I mean, you can see the difference in performance a lot of times.
You know what though? Yes and no, because Linda Lovelace
Yeah,
a
I know,
million years ago,
I
she
know.
was brutalized into that profession.
Yeah,
And if
and
you didn't know that, she seemed like she really was enjoying
same
it,
thing
where
with
every second was horrible.
what's her name? That girl she was in a lot of mainstream movies. Fuck, dude. Redhead.
Mainstream movies? You don't mean Angie
Yeah.
Everhart?
No, Tracy.
Tracy
Tracy
Lords.
Lords. Yeah.
Oh, but no. That's a whole other problem because she was underage.
Yeah.
Like now you're in different
Not only was
territory.
she underage though, she never really wanted. She never liked it.
You know,
Like a perfect example, like she get her interview. She walked in there first. Of course, she lied about her age. She was 16 or 18.
yeah, it was easier to do
Yeah.
that then than
Yeah,
now.
and yeah, she just said she was. That was it. Nobody checked her ID. Nobody gave a fuck. And her first scene was with Ron Jeremy, and she
My
was like,
namesake, and let me pause that. You're going to get right back to that. So imagine this again. I was the super awkward, athletically but very nerdy kid,
yeah,
and I was playing a softball game with older boys. I was like 11, and they were 15 or 16. It was somebody's brother. Oh no, Jeremy's really good. He can play. So we're playing, and then when the guys found out, oh, the redheaded kid, your friend, oh, his name's Jeremy. They're giggling and laughing,
really?
and well, what's funny? Hey, Ron Jeremy. They started calling me Ron Jeremy for the rest of the game. Fly ball. Ron Jeremy, make the catch. And I make the catch. There's no Google. There's no internet. It's 1986.
Oh
And
my
I'm playing with
god!
these older boys. And I did not know who Ron Jeremy was. They wouldn't tell me. No, ask your dad.
Yeah, man. I get
I
that.
wasn't going to ask my dad.
But it's like, do you really want to tell this little kid, like, we're talking to a big porn star, like
I didn't find out who Ron Jeremy was till another friend, not on the field. He said he's like an adult film actor. You don't really want to that's, but my namesake. So from then on, anytime I saw Ron Jeremy, oh, my namesake.
that should be a new name of this podcast. Ron Jeremy.
Yeah,
No, but so going back to the story,
Tracy Lords.
she walks in. Do you know what he looks like? Have you seen him?
Yeah, listen, there was you don't know this, Ken. I trained with a guy in the early 2000s, a friend of mine who was in the adult film business.
Really?
Yes.
Who?
His name is Ed. Well, his last name, he changed his last name, but he went by Ed Korn. That was his name, Ed
Okay.
Bevs,
Okay.
with a K, but that wasn't his real name.
Okay.
Or maybe that was his real name in his adult film. But his uncle was a guy named R.J. Lincoln,
Okay.
and R.J. Lincoln was, again, I don't know the guy, but he made a couple of films.
He's a producer, right?
I guess, but we're talking 40 years ago. This
Yeah.
is a long time ago, and this guy got into it when he was college age. So this is decades ago, way before video, when everything was still shot on film.
Yep.
And he talked about. I mean, he knew John Holmes personally. He knew all of those guys from Harry Reams on down. He didn't make a lot of films, but he made a few.
That's so cool.
And he was in the business. And then I said, well, why did you leave it? And he ended up working for Goldman Sachs. That's the funny part. And he got a golden parachute, no pun intended.
Wow.
And he ended up, man, he was such a character. He was such a character. I love the guy. He drove a little convertible Beamer, again, in the early aughts. And there are some people who you just know have lived. He was a guy, if you didn't know who he was, just by the way he carried himself, said,
he's seen it all.
But he looked older than he was.
Okay.
But he did not have anything to do with Tracy Lords.
But did he see anything with Ron Jeremy?
Oh yeah, he said the guy was gross. That he was gross. He not just that he was not the most attractive, because there are certain guys in the business. If you didn't know John Holmes was John Holmes, you would say, okay, he's an okay looking dude.
Right. And
Harry Reams, another guy that he knew.
And I heard they were very nice people. They're very gentlemen.
Right.
Too.
And he said Harry was a nice enough guy. Ron Jeremy, he's just like, the guy is just gross.
Yeah.
Jamie Gill's another guy I think they work with.
Yeah.
Jamie's okay. But he knew them all because of his uncle.
Okay.
And he didn't star in any films, but he said that it was okay work. He had the problem with what he called performance anxiety.
Okay.
He said, you know what? He said, Jared, sounds like I could still hear. This is like us on cardio, 2002 at Bev's. You could have been there. You just weren't
Yeah,
in the conversation.
yeah.
He's like, Jared, you think it sounds so great? Oh, yeah, hot 20-year-old girl. I'm 23. He said, you try getting it going when there's 13 people in the room. You give that a try. I'm like, all right, okay, don't get, because he was a guy, he would get angry very fast.
Okay.
So it was almost like he was daring. He was, all right, Ed, take it easy, take it easy. All right, I won't ask to take a ride in your car.
I'll tell you something. So, God, I have so many fucked up stories. About the first year of college, right? Maybe like toward almost like the semester's over, right?
Oh, wait. We got to fit the Tracy Lord story is that she went mainstream.
Oh, yeah,
And John
yeah.
Waters cast her in Crybaby in
Yeah.
more than a cameo.
Yeah.
And if that was a big one for Johnny Depp. And in a smaller role, if you go back and you watch the original Blade with Wesley from 1998, the woman who leads the first guy to what we think is going to be his doom, the famous rave sequence.
Right.
By the way, top 10 all-time greatest action movie sequences. The rave sequence in Blade where Wesley just comes out of nowhere and fucking tears shit up with the music. It's amazing. But it's Tracy Lords, who was no longer notorious. Like, she was viewed as a sympathetic figure, and she worked in Hollywood, and she was in other stuff. But just in that small role where she's a recruiter, you use the word, she basically gets this guy in there, and they think they're going to chop him up and drink his blood. Well, here comes Wesley. But even in a role like that, she's terrific. You could see that she just was natural in front of a camera.
Yeah, but my point about her was that she most of the time hated the porn she was doing.
Right.
She wasn't into it, didn't really love sex. She wasn't a Gingerlyn or Amberlyn or, she wasn't a Riley Reid. She wasn't a Violet Myers. The women I like today, like most ones I like, I watch their interviews. I don't just watch their porn. I watch interviews of them, like see what they're like, and very nice, fun people who generally love sex. They just really enjoy it, and they're okay with it, and they're okay with what they do. But Tracy Lords, from day one, hated it. And her first scene was with Ron Jeremy. She refused. She's like, I'm not fucking that. That's not happening. It's just not going to happen. And apparently he was very upset about it. And he had a lot of pullback then. So he was like, you're not going to work here again. Keep this up. And, it happens. And she eventually found her way anyway and made enough movies. And just so you guys know, they're all gone. You can't even find it online. They were online for a very long time. I think even until like 2003 or 4, everything was there. And then about 4 years ago, they just all gone offline. People realized that she was even 1 year underage at that point. Anything just not worth having it there in case something happens. So Pornhub, all these sites, they got rid of
nobody
everything.
Wants to. They're trying to run we can argue
they make
legitimacy,
it
but they don't want to break the law and get shut down.
It's
not like they have to necessarily have the goodness of their heart. It's like, no, this is illegal. We can't do this.
Millions of dollars in making a fucking website. Why do I want to?
Don't risk it.
Risk
that
for
slightest,
what? For one Tracy Lords video who nobody gives a fuck about anymore? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So my thing, you were talking about, performing in front of people and being a porn star. So I'm so weird. Because I guess I was exposed to it at a younger age, and I don't know. Like, everybody watched. I guess I watched so much porn during. Like, I'm thinking about it now, like how much I've watched. But there were certain porn stars, like I thought were like really fucking cool. And
Howard Stern, Janine Lindemulder, he used to have her on frequently. He adored her. He said, look, Janine, this is the choices you made. She worked as a showgirl.
I remember.
He said, honestly, I think you're as beautiful as Cindy Crawford. That's just me. Oh, and then the funny thing, I'll never forget this interview because I used to listen to Stern when they would do the rebroadcast on the old E! Entertainment Network. So he asked her, said, so how do you decide, when you make a movie, is it through your agent or you just work? So she answers a question, and he says, well, I got an idea. So what, Howard? She says, I got a camera. Let's just go back to my house. And it was just a way that he said, we could go back to my house. And of course, you could hear Jackie the Joke Man cackling away.
Yeah.
And, even the producer, I forgot his name, Baba Booey, Gary
Yeah,
Delabate.
Gary, yeah.
He's laughing and she's laughing, but she says, no, 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 no. Oh, with men, it has to be special. He's like, all right. You can't blame me for trying. It's just, I got a camera. Let's just go back to my house.
Well, to make this more awkward, I didn't mean the women. I wasn't talking about girls. There was, look, we're always into bodybuilding, right? We're always into working out, all of us. Everybody, a whole bunch of us. And I don't even know who Peter North is. He's a porn star. Motherfucker is jacked.
Yeah, he still is. I know who he is.
I mean, dude, like, I remember watching scenes of him plying women, and I'm just like, this dude has, like, 2 glutes.
Yeah, no. He basically would be like a male fitness competitor level.
Exactly.
And he started in the business. It's so strange because there are people you read, well, they did this, and then of course Stallone made one porno. Now, here's your trivia. Do you remember the name of that movie?
No, I don't.
Party at Kitty and Studs. Yeah. That was the name of the movie. Yeah. And Stallone, we love the guy so much. When he gets asked about it occasionally because he was a struggling actor. Again, this is one reason why I don't judge.
Oh yeah.
People have to do what they have to do. If you're offended or disgusted, in this case, you literally don't click the button or don't watch that movie. But they asked Stallone. He said, "Well, what was it like?" He said, "My privates was rolling back up into my body, if you know what I mean." And it was the way he said it. I didn't do it that great.
No, you did. That was awesome, bro.
He said something like that it was just it didn't want to come out and play because he was so humiliated. I don't blame him.
It's not easy. So I had a lot of comments made at me when I was in college. Like, why did you become a porn star? I was like, well, just because my performance, the way I was, like I told you, I was having sex like 8-9 times a day and almost constantly fucking hard. I'm shameless. I'm still shameless. I'm talking about this shit on the podcast. The whole fucking world's going to hear this, including my relatives.
The TV show is based on him. No, just kidding. I shameless. Yeah.
Literally, I'm thinking to myself, anybody who knows me, including my family, is going to hear this. Oh, well, you know what? That's just the truth. Anyway, so I was told that a lot. Like, well, you should do porn. They were shooting the scene in Manhattan, and they actually had auditions, but I saw the scene was between Janet Jameson and Peter North. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to try it out. I'm not going to fucking do this. So, I show up there. I was already like modeling at this point, so I was good looking.
Right.
So I get there and they're shooting it, and first thing is I'm like awestruck, bro. To me, it's like meeting this big actor. I'm like, oh my god, it's Peter North.
Yeah, with the hair, he had that kind of pompadour going.
Little pumpy over here.
Funny guy.
And like he was getting ready for the scene and stuff, and honestly, it's so funny. You would think I'd want to meet Janet Jameson. I don't give 2 fucks.
Yeah.
I was like, gotta be Peter North. So I'm like, can I meet him? Like, yeah, sure. So I shake his hand. I'm like, oh my god, it's such a pleasure to meet you. You're such a big fan. And of course, for a second, he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, no, I'm not gay. He's like, oh. I'm like, I just think you're freaking awesome. He's like, oh, really? Thanks, man. I'm like, yo, I just, how much do you fucking work out, dude? Like, he's like, honestly, every damn day.
Right.
He's like, I don't miss a day. I spend about 2 hours in the gym. I don't miss it no matter what. The eating is super clean. I drink shitloads of pineapple juice, so I come like this. He's like, I do a lot of different things just to make sure that I come this much because that's my thing. And he's like, it's just, honestly, kid, it's work. It's a job for me. I make sure it gets done and I do good performance and I do well. He's like, do I enjoy it? Yes, not all the time. He's like, but then he's like, listen, I told him maybe I want to do this. And he's like, listen, I'm not saying no to you. I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should do whatever you want to do. You're a good-looking guy. You probably do well in the industry. You pull some money. Why don't you sit around and hang around and see what you think? Because I got to watch the whole thing, I realized how torturous it is. I mean, dude, literally she's going down to him, for like 10 minutes straight. Cut. I'm like, what? Yeah. Reapply makeup.
Yeah, okay, and in the regular movie business is even more absurd and wasteful. But
but this is like a sexual act going on. Then all of a sudden it's all stopped. She goes back, like, they're putting makeup on her, putting makeup on her fucking tits. He's soft now. The other girl comes over to blow him in the meantime, hard again, to start again. I'm like, are you kidding me? Jeffrey, this happened like 7 times. I was like, no wonder, man. He wonder he comes so much. He's fucking pent up. Like,
Right.
I'm like, that's torture. Like, in the middle of sex.
You-
Stop. I'm getting glaze on her ass. Glaze lighting on her ass. And come on, we gotta stop. Come on, take it off. All right, everybody, come on. Apply some powder. I'm like, how much? And again, this is not like a video movie, right? This is like, remember they actually had nice production companies
Yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day. And
No, I know.
they really tried to make an actual movie out of it. So I just realized, Jeremy, it would just work.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I have more fun having sex with women in the first place. But it was my only time I got to see something. I think today it's very different. It's more like
Well, no,
people
it's
hanging
because
out in
it's
a room.
easier. You don't need big production because phones,
Yeah.
it's totally
I mean, I'm
different.
talking about the whole lighting thing, everything,
Oh, yeah.
like when you've seen a professional, like, light show and everything in a professional setting of like a movie, like it wasn't like, two guys, a camera, and a girl.
Yeah.
It was like the real deal production company. And like now, like, yeah, like you said, now with the phones and everything, and it's one nice camera,
Right.
that's it, and then they want me one light over it, and nothing else. It's different than it used to be. So
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd feel today. I don't know if I'd feel the same way I felt back then. I don't anymore. So
Right. You reminded me of two stories. I think you'll find both of these interesting. So,
mm,
in the mid '90s, so I had a friend at the gym who had little connections to movie business, and he knew a couple of adult stars. Um, and there's this one guy that he had hung out with a little bit named Randy West, who was
oh
a
yeah, I know who
name
he is, of
blonde hair.
course.
Okay, so here's the thing: many people, even going back then or into the 80s, because now everything is, again, a click on your phone. It was
Yep,
different when you had to either buy a tape, watch the Playboy channel, whatever it might be.
yep.
So the Clinton Lewinsky scandal was like unfolding in almost not quite real time, but it was unfolding. And
Yep.
Jay Leno, because Leno was the kind of guy he could get a kick at, he made fun of everybody. He just didn't care. So Leno said, "Hey, we're going to do a skit in honor of this bizarre scandal that we think is going on." So they had Randy West playing Bill Clinton.
Oh
But
my God, that's awesome.
what Leno was not expecting was when he introduced, and here's our Bill Clinton. Some of you might know him, and he was not trying to be funny. Some of you might know him, Randy West. And when Randy West came out and waved, the place went crazy. And Leno looked around like, "Oh, I didn't think that many people. Well, maybe I should have." And then he made
Yeah.
a joke about it, but he was legitimately shocked that so many people knew who Randy
I,
West
I,
was.
I was just a kid. I would be like, oh my God, Randy West on TV.
All right, now here's the other thing. I mentioned how, unfortunately, Linda Lovelace was coerced and beaten by her husband, Chuck Trainer. Was an
Crazy.
awful, horrible. And then there was the movie with, I forgot which actress, but it's a very distinctive looking actress. Oh, shit. I'm going to have to Google this.
It's okay. Google it.
Hang on. Linda Lovelace movie. It looks like her name looks like Lovelace, but it's pronounced Loveless. Hang on. Movie.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
the name.
But the guy's name was Chuck Trainer. That was the guy who.
What a dick.
He was awful. All right, wait. Here we go. But yeah, that wasn't even what I was going to say.
Beating your wife like that. What the fuck?
Yeah.
People? I don't understand. I just don't get it. And she was very famous in those days.
It was played by Amanda Seyfried. I should have known that. And Peter Sarsgaard played Chuck Trainer, the awful guy.
What movie is this?
It's called Loveless.
Oh, how have I not seen this?
Yeah. I missed it also. But
Let's
what I
watch.
was, yeah, we can do a watch party. But what I was going to say about this specifically, it's in a similar vein to everybody in Leno's audience seeming to know who Randy West is, and Jay had to give the guy an introduction because he didn't think anybody was going to know. So Linda Lovelace tells a story in this book. It was her autobiography called Ordeal, which is harrowing. It is a brutal read because there were so many people, and again, this is 40 plus years ago, that worked with her that were horrified. Jesus, if any of us knew what was going on, we wouldn't have let any. They all felt, yeah, we're in the adult film business, but not all of them are heartless. So
No.
she tells a story of being at a premiere after Deep Throat. That was the movie that made her a superstar.
Yeah.
So she was at a premiere, I don't remember, of a mainstream film. They just wanted her to mingle with real people. And so she tells a story how she sees Dr. Doolittle himself, Rex Harrison. And Rex Harrison, when he sees her, his eyes light up and she's like, oh my God. And she's really excited. And he comes over, Miss Lovelace, I just wanted to say hello. Maybe we can take a picture. I think you're great. So she's on cloud nine. But then after that was over, she was like, are you telling me that Dr. Doolittle was maybe getting himself off while watching my porn?
Yes.
So she went from happy to, oh my God, Dr. Doolittle?
But I mean, like, she should know that's what's happening on the
But
world.
she didn't know it in the moment that he recognized her. Yes, but it didn't click the way that it did later. Like, oh my God. But that was one of the most memorable things in her book was the Rex Harrison story because it made me think like, well, yeah, of course that's why he knew who you were.
I give you like a perfect example. Like I'm a big fan of Violet Myers. She looks like just a very built Hispanic girl. And I saw her in Manhattan. And I went cuckoo. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. She knew where I saw her. She wasn't like, he knows my work. She knew exactly where I knew her from, and then, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. But she knows that's what she does. That's her job. That's what she's doing it for people like me and whoever want to watch her. But speaking of Randy West, what do you think of Randy West? Like as a guy, like as a porn star.
I don't really have enough frame of reference.
I always found him such an anomaly. Like he's in porn, he's average looking, nice chin, decent body, but he wasn't a big dude, and it was like, huh. So how did he get hired? Like like today, if you're hired in porn, like you're obviously like much bigger than the average guy, but he was like even below average.
Right.
So I was just
Yeah, my friend actually, it's funny that he would have brought that up. What did he say? He's got no body. And then, it was the other guy, Ed.
Yeah.
He's like, wasn't really that impressive. Sometimes it's
No.
who you know. But listen, and my friend who was in the business he wasn't like John Holmes. So you had freaks and outliers.
Yeah.
And
back
there was
then there was a few guys like that.
yeah, but there was speaking of Holmes, there was such a big buildup. Now, of course, Boogie Nights, the character Dirk Diggler it's loosely based on John Holmes. And
definitely.
then unfortunately, so I love Val Kilmer. I'm a big Val Kilmer fan. Going back to Top Gun and the succeeding movies, he's a terrific actor. When he was at the top of the mountain in Hollywood, he got a reputation for being a little bit difficult because, as he would say, he was a perfectionist. I watched the documentary Val, which was mind-blowing, a great documentary. I had no idea that he was filming so much of his own life over time. So much of that is home movies, his brother. So there was very strong Oscar buzz for Val Kilmer for a movie called Wonderland, which was supposed to.
My God.
But okay, so you said the movie Boogie Nights. There's this huge scene towards the end of the film where the character played by Alfred Molina, Doc Ock himself in a couple of years, that whole bizarre scene, which ends in bloodshed, is the focus of the movie Wonderland.
The Wonderland Murders.
In which, it was called the Wonderland Murders, but Val Kilmer literally played John Holmes, the porn star that was friends with the guy I mentioned earlier, and Kate Bosworth was his, at the time. So even though, he was doing porn, he had a life outside of that. And Kilmer, he really looked the part, but the film, people were disappointed because they thought, Val got screwed all those years ago. He should have been nominated for Jim Morrison in The Doors. He's amazing. He looked like him and he sold it, and somehow he didn't get nominated. And there was a lot of buzz. Wonderland, it's going to be Val's time. And the movie came out, it just didn't make that much of an impact. I mean, you liked it, and I know other people who did.
Listen, I'm again, I sound disgusting. I'm a big John Holmes fan. Okay, why? No, it's not because of the 15 inches. He's just an anomaly of a human being. The whole way that he came about this, the whole porn thing was so. It's one hell of a story, man. He just married to a regular girl, really quiet.
That's right. I remember seeing pictures.
Then that movie, by the way, he really got John Holmes down.
He did.
He really,
And
really
the
did.
the version of John Holmes, again, you have somebody, there were different stages of his life, and when the movie picks up,
Yeah.
he's pretty much past being in movies
Yeah.
and wants to do something else, but
Yeah.
he had
He
a
was
lot of
stuck-
problems.
He was stuck in that bit. Just so many things wrong at that point with John Holmes' life. Like, so he left good family to come to Hollywood and become a porn star. Becomes a porn star, becomes the biggest thing overnight. I think some people just can't handle the fame. He also was a really big manipulator and a liar. He just constantly lied about shit. Things he had, things he did, places he went. To the point where, you lie so much, Jeremy, you don't know what's truth, what's lie anymore. You believe your
Yeah.
own lies.
Well, you know what? The great author William Goldman, I mentioned him a couple of weeks ago. He was a guy who, when speaking of Hollywood, he said the only thing that we know for certain, nobody knows anything. William
Yeah.
Goldman, that quote came from a book called Adventures in the Screen Trade, which came out in the 80s, and it was about Goldman's early experiences, All the President's Men, Marathon Man, some of the movies that he worked on. He did a film with Cliff Robertson, the first Uncle Ben, in the,
Yeah.
But Goldman wrote a book in the early 2000s to mid 2000s. The title of the book, Which Lie Did I Tell? That's the title of the book. And he got the title because he was sitting in a meeting sometime probably in the mid to late 1990s. That was when his career was peaking. He was being hired to do rewrites all over the place.
Lucky him.
So many different films where he did a dialogue polish, uncredited, they gave him $1 million. Last Action Hero,
Wow.
he did $1 million in 2 weeks, if that. So Goldman tells a story where he's in a meeting with, he wouldn't name the director, but if it wasn't Spielberg or Scorsese or Coppola, it was somebody on that level at the time. Cameron, it was somebody that big. He implied that this was not some random guy.
Of
It
course.
could have been John McTiernan would have been like the least.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was one of the big guys. So anyway, they're having a meeting about a project that this famous big-time director, his name, he's won Oscars, wanted him to write the script. And they were having a normal meeting, and the guy's secretary, Mr. Spielberg, Mr. Scorsese, whoever it is, so-and-so is on the line from Columbia. What's this in reference to?
that's right.
Oh, it's in reference to whatever that project.
Yeah.
He said, the director put his assistant on hold and looked at me and said, I don't remember which bullshit story I told that guy.
That's right.
And
So-
Goldman said, I kind of covered my face. I didn't want to hear this because I adored this director. And then he gets back on with the secretary and goes, which lie did I tell?
That's true. And this is the job tells that's exactly what happened. I mean, they got to a point. That's when the police were investigating him too. They were looking at this like, listen. And that's it for part 1, guys. Yeah, you want to see more? You gotta tune in next week for part 2. Just as crazy, just as wild. We can't stop ourselves. Stay tuned, guys. And guess what? I got an announcement for you. Announcement coming up right now. Don't go nowhere. You know what it is? Yo, the website's official. www.kpcandjpc.com. Go check it out, guys. Come on, subscribe for us. Hit the button. Become part of the army. Come on. Let's keep it going, guys. Keep it going forever. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm out. Peace.
You, won't you bring that back to me?